spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scary-ish Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace, this is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And today we're here to read you folks some homegrown horrors. Adam's going to tell us what those are, and then we'll get into it.
Homegrown horrors, the stories that you wonderful folks have sent to us. They can be supernatural, paranormal, spooky, spiritual, creepy, coincidental, true crime, or extraterrestrial in nature. Robin, if someone had a story like that, where could they send it to?
You can send it to storytime@scaryish.com. That is our email. You can go to our website, scaryish.com. There's a contact us page. You just fill out that lovely form there, and it gets sent to us that way. You can also contact us at our social media outlets, I guess. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Indeed. So we have 4 of these stories that we've been talking about that we call homegrown horrors. We're going to read to you wonderful folks tonight. Robin, did you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
I have my stuff up. I just figured
my first one is pretty short. I have a short one and then a long one today. So I'll start with the short, and then when we get back from the commercial break, which is in the middle of the episode, which is, by the way, never the middle somehow, then I'll read my next one. So I'll start out with this one. The first story we have for you wonderful folks tonight is from Amber, and its subject is local legend. You must read this on the pod. Whenever I see that, it definitely has to go to Spooky Mom to be vetted, because I imagine it's just going to be a bunch of dirty jokes or the word boner over and over and over.
Jeez.
So, starts out like this. Hey, what's up? It's H-E-Y, all exclamations, all capitalizations, and an exclamation point. So it's a pretty assertive intro.
Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. Shut up, Navi. Okay, anyways, starts out like this. I sent this story before my, quote, sweet dreams are made of these email, but didn't hear it read, so I thought I would resend it. Also, it's worth mentioning that after that story time, I had a dream that on a live stream, Adam began reading this story, then stopped, deleted it, and went on to the next story. But he's not that big of a jerk. Anyways, here's the story.
All right, we're not going to finish it.
I'm going to stop right now and delete that and just go ahead and move on. The story continues. My great aunt has a cabin up in North Wisconsin. Most of my siblings have been there, and all of them have said it was haunted. The one thing that scared me most about the stories I've heard was the windsock story. Apparently, they would hang a windsock with ribbons coming off of it outside the window or outside the door, and no one would touch it. After a couple of days, the ribbons would be perfectly braided, not in knots, but in perfect braids. The reason given for this is that across the lake where the cabin was, there is a Native American burial ground. The spirits would come across the lake and braid them in the night. Well, that's the story. Sorry if you already got this story. I don't think we did. I don't remember braids. So I'm currently watching the live Storytime number 143. So sorry to Spooky Mom if this is messy. Thanks for reading. Thank you for sending that.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And this is a good example that small or long or short or long. Yeah, that's it. Short or long. Please send us your stories. We definitely want to hear them, and we definitely want to share them. So thank you for sending that in. If you have additional ones, go ahead and send it.
So we're going to get into the next email here, and the subject is a heartwarming, creepy story. I think we all need a little bit of heartwarming right now.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It goes, hey, Robin and Adam.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Robin. That's Adam.
Hello, I'm Adam. That's Robin.
We're not like the MFM girls where it's really hard to tell who's who sometimes.
They have distinctive voices. I just get confused which voice belongs to who.
It took me like 20 episodes to figure out who was who.
I mean, it took me almost like 50 episodes to figure out who the hell each person was.
In The Adventure Zone?
Yeah, except for Griffin and... Okay, so I guess Griffin. That's not true. For Griffin and the dad, like Clint, I immediately knew. But when it came to Justin and Travis, I could not remember who was who. So,
all right. The email begins. I mean, they already said hi, but the story begins. I couldn't sleep, so I fired up your recent episode, 142, on the Echo Dot near my bed. Yo, that is so cool that you can just tell your Echo Dot, like, hey, oh, I'm not going to say the name.
Yeah.
Hey, Echo Dot person.
Hey, Echo Dot lady.
Play this podcast episode. I think that is so stinking cool. I've never tried it on ours.
It works on our Google Home in the kitchen, too.
We watch a lot of YouTube on that thing.
I do.
That is so cool. So they fired up episode 142 on the Echo Dot near my bed, and you had me laughing so hard, so I decided, what the French toast? I'm just gonna get up and send them my lame stories since you're running low. Adam, I love it when you beg. By the way, I found you via our mutual YouTube friend, Miss Braun. Love that girl. That is so freaking awesome.
We love her too.
We love her too. Anyway, back in 2006...
I don't know if it was begging so much as just sincerely pleading.
Anyway, back in 2006, I lost my dad unexpectedly, and the next morning, I had to rush my stroke victim mom to the ER because she had low hemoglobin and needed blood ASAP.
Wow, that is
so
much,
much to handle all
so
at
rough.
once. The ER took forever, and as I needed to go make funeral arrangements for my dad, that is so much for one person to handle, I left her there with my aunt / her sister. When I was done with the cemetery, the funeral home, the cleaners, etc., I stopped by my neighbors for a quick chat / glass of wine and left my phone in the car. When I got back in the car half an hour later, my phone had exploded with calls from family because my mom had a seizure in the ER and they thought that she wasn't going to make it. After dealing with all that stuff with the cemetery and funeral arrangements and all that stuff, having to look at your phone and that's what everyone's calling you about, I would have a conniption. That's so much. Yeah. Well, by some miracle, after I sat with her sobbing and holding her hand, begging her not to leave me too, she pulled through. Can you say miracle and stressful day from hell? That does sound like an awful
sounds like
stressful
both of those
day
things,
from hell.
yeah.
So about a week later, after my dad's funeral and my mom's still in the hospital, I was laying across their bed on my side, having a minor sobbing like a baby breakdown, when all of a sudden I felt a hand on my shoulder. But I wasn't scared. I felt peace and love and comfort, and I just knew it was my dad. Then, after about 15 seconds or so, I sort of got creeped out and got up the nerve to look over my shoulder, and the feeling disappeared. The experience was sort of nice and sort of creepy, but it helped me pull it together. My dad was a quiet, sort of dignified man with a dry sense of humor and not a touchy-feely, gushy person like me. But he was always there when I needed a hug or some comforting, and I guess he still is. Sorry for being such a mushpot. Keep on creeping on. Your creepy friend, Cheryl. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so much for one person to go through.
You're not being a mush pot at all. Like when you say that you were lying down in your parents' bed having a sob, it's like you earned that more than pretty much anyone I know. So it's shocking that you didn't do that more frequently and pretty much at all times. So it's nice to know that in that moment you had that feeling. And it's always a shame when it goes away, but it's nice to know that it was there and gives you a little bit, not just of closure, but like the strength that you're going to need to keep moving forward because it's awesome that your mom stuck around.
Yes.
So that would have been just so much to take. Even though it was probably the worst day of your life, I can't imagine it not being.
That's a lot, too. I mean, going through a stroke, having seizures, doing all that stuff, it's really awesome that your mom was able to pull through all that because that's a lot for your body to take.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So thank you so much for sending that in one more time. All right, I'm going to move on to my next story of the show, and this one is from Cinda, and the subject is The Big White House. And then in parentheses, in the subject, it says, not the one where the orange president lives. Thank you for that clarification. Starts out like this. Hello, Adam and Robin.
Hello.
Hello, what's up? My daughter, Anna, or Anna, I think it's Anna, introduced me to your podcast, and I love it. 2 N's.
That's, well, no, Anna is also spelled with 2 N's, isn't it? The one from Frozen?
Yep.
All right. Take it.
I like to hear scary stories, but don't like to watch them, LOL. So your podcast is perfect for me.
Oh, perfect.
It's good to hear. You may know my daughter better as Ulrika. I knew it. It's Ulrika.
Oh, Ulri.
She has long been a very big fan of your show. She has been bugging me for a long time to submit these stories that my grandma used to tell me about living in what they call the Big White House in Crittenden County, Kentucky. My grandparents were tenant farmers, which means that they worked for the owner of the land and were able to live on the property for free and share in some of the profits after all the crops came in.
That is a really cool thing to do.
It is. The Big White House was a large mansion that the owner, who they all called the Colonel, built for his wife, but she refused to live in.
Because it's haunted.
I don't know. I'm guessing.
It's got to be.
I mean, it's about the Big White House, so. Too far out of town and too, quote-unquote, primitive. No running water or electric service. So my grandpa and grandma were allowed to live there. They were very excited to be living in such a great house for free.
How do you live without running water and plumbing?
You go and get water. You probably have like a well.
Ah, okay.
You have an outhouse. Have
you
not seen like all the movies where you have an outhouse? Go shit outside?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. The house was so large, they invited my grandpa's brother and his family to live there also. This was a beautiful plantation-style house with a huge front veranda with columns holding up a large sleeping porch on the second floor. Soon after they had moved in, things started to happen. And now I have like some bolded sections, starting with this one, Story 1, The Crash. One night, the entire household was awakened by the sound of a large crash. My grandma said that it sounded like an entire cupboard of dishes had been pushed over. She was frightened because she thought that my dad, who was very young at the time, might have gotten out of bed and was climbing on the cupboard, and when they got to the kitchen, nothing was out of place.
That's terrifying, because that's a very distinctive sound.
I mean, that's a loud fucking sound, too. They were pretty sure it wasn't a dream because everyone in the house had heard it. Could have been Inception, but most likely it was a ghost.
It's just like that movie.
Inception?
No.
Paranormal Activity?
No, that one, what is it called? Voices, I think? Or...
You've lost me at this point. You're talking about some Amazon Prime, like 16-page search.
No, that Netflix movie that I've brought up a million times before, where it's the events that echo through time.
I know which one you're talking about. I don't remember the name. I'm pretty sure it's Amy Adams.
It's Amy Adams. Yeah, it's just like that, where she's like boiling a pot of water, and she realizes that's the sound she's been hearing, like a ghostly sound she's been hearing throughout her house, but not finding this boiling kettle of water.
It was a traumatic event that echoed through time. Or scarred time.
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is, the sound of those dishes all shattering is it's happened before.
Maybe we'll find out in the next story, or the one after that, because there's 2 and 3 I can see so far. Story 2, doors. The house had a huge living room that covered the entire front of the house, a long hallway of rooms with doors, then a large kitchen that covered the back of the house. There was a door at each end of the hallway. The house was so big that no one needed to sleep on the second floor.
Oh, wow.
Also,
that's a big house.
No heat upstairs because the only warmth was from fireplaces and pot-bellied stoves. So not to waste energy, they slept in rooms that were meant to be parlors and libraries. Everyone slept with their doors closed to conserve as much heat as possible in the room. One night, they started to hear doors opening and closing. At the end of this long hall, one door opened and then the other door would close. They thought maybe someone was in the house, but when they went to look, both doors would be closed. This kept happening, but every time my grandpa took the lamp out into the hall, it would stop.
That's scary.
So my grandma suggested he go out there without the lamp. Of course, grandma would suggest that. It's okay, honey. Go out there into the darkness with the strange noise. So my grandma suggested he go out there without the lamp and see if it kept happening. So he did. Both doors started to open and slam shut so violently that he ran back into the room, covered his head, and said, "Nope, not doing that again."
Oh my God.
Side note, my grandpa was a very hard worker and loving man, but not a very brave man. My grandma was the tough one. One day a snake fell into the outhouse I knew there was a fucking outhouse. One day a snake fell into the outhouse from the ceiling down on him while he was in there. He came running out with his pants down around his ankles, shouting for my grandma to come kill the snake. That is fucking hilarious. Story number 3, nightlights. One day, my grandparents had taken the horses and wagon into town for supplies. One of their neighbors asked if everyone was okay. They said, "Yes, why do you ask?" The neighbor said that from his farm, he could see the big white house all lit up. Light from every window. He thought maybe someone was hurt or sick. My grandparents said, "No, we're fine, and no, we didn't have any lamps lit last night." Strange, as it so happened, they were late coming home from town, and it was dark. As they rounded the bend in the road leading up to the White House, they saw the house shining like there were lamps in every room.
Wow.
Thinking someone had broken in or that there was a fire, they hurried home. But as they got closer to the house, all the lights went out and it was pitch black.
I would be like, not going in there. Fuck that.
Right?
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Note, there was no electric service to the house. That's even it's one thing if people just ran around flipping switches. If it's before there's electric service to the house and it's completely lit up, that is so much more effort for a prank, and it has to be coordinated by so many more people to put all the lights out at once.
That's a big ol' no on my end.
Story number 4, the party. One night, the household was awakened to sounds of a party going on in the living room. We're talking music and dancing, laughing and conversation, not a little party. My grandparents took a lamp and a shotgun ready to clear people out who they thought had broken into the house. Lights could be seen coming from under the big double doors that led to the entrance of the never-used living room. As my grandparents threw open the double doors, they discovered nothing. Pitch black room, no party. I asked my grandma why she wasn't scared. She said she was so young, she thought it was just a grand adventure. She was only 15 when she married my grandfather in 1939.
Wow.
I actually got to see the big white house when I was young and go inside. I'm sure at one time it was a beautiful house. It has since been torn down because of neglect. Hope you enjoyed these stories and feel free to read them on the podcast. Personal note, thank you for all your kind words you had for me when Anna moved out. She's my buddy, and I was a little sad that she grew
Aw.
up. LOL. Hope you
That's
are
so
well.
cute.
Tell your mom I said hi. Spooky moms rule, Cinda. That is
Thank you
so
so
awesome.
much. That is so freaking adorable.
Those are some of the best stories we've ever gotten. I won't lie. And I say this all the time. Ask your parents for their stories, folks.
Because my grandparents
They've seen
have
some
stories.
shit.
My
The
parents
higher
have stories.
you go in the hierarchy in your family, like mom, grandpa, great grandpa, wherever you want to go, they're going to have some stories. And even if they're not supernatural, if you're like, tell me your most intense story, you better strap the fuck in because you're going to get blown away.
I think it's a great opportunity, too, to just sit down and talk to your relatives because, at least for me, I didn't talk enough with my grandparents. And I think it's a good chance for you to sit down and spend some time with them because they are a lot older and they're
a lot cooler than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, they deserve some attention.
It's a good opportunity to connect. Like, if you think your grandparents or your parents don't sit around and talk like you do, they do. And if you want to enjoy
they probably
that,
talk shit about
they're probably talking shit about you. Exactly.
Just
try and sit down and have a
but
real conversation with them because you're never going to understand how important that is to do. And thank you so much, Cinda, for sending that in. And thank you so much, Anna, for convincing your mom to send those in. We love both of you. One more time, thank you so much. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back.
All right, so this next email, or final email of this episode, is from Cody, and the subject is Brown Mountain Lights.
I covered this topic.
You did? Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
100%. 100.
Okay. 100 Acre Wood. That's what it's called in Winnie the Pooh. 100. All right, no, that's just me. All right.
I was like, I don't know. I haven't seen Winnie. The only thing I know
it's
about Winnie the Pooh...
It's 100 Acre Wood, but I was like 100.
The only thing I know about Winnie the Pooh is the fucked up ride at Disneyland that someone had to have been on acid
like
when
acid.
they designed, because that fucking ride is just nuts.
All right, so the email begins. So I relatively recently had a brief interaction with Adam on Instagram and referenced this story, so I guess I'll finally share it here. I can't remember which episode it was exactly, but the first episode I ever discovered of the Scariest podcast was the episode on the Brown Mountain Lights.
Nice.
I was headed up that way to do a multi-day camping trip, specifically in the area to hunt for the lights. All right. So I decided to see if there were any podcasts on the topic. Lo and behold, Scariest. Yay, that's us.
Nailed it.
Well, that and there are tons of amazing natural sights and specifically waterfalls on the hunt to do 300 plus NC, so that's North Carolina, right? NC waterfalls, but I digress. One of the nights I was there, I had set up camp and then walked my way down to Wiseman's View. It's a view of the Linville Gorge that, when looking out over the gorge, gives a view of Brown Mountain off to the left.
Brown Mountain just sounds like a big poop you took. It's like, man, do not go in there. Brown Mountain.
Oh my god. It was after sunset, so I had my camera set up mainly for astrophotography over the gorge. That's pretty cool. All the pictures turned out like shit. Fuck. That sucks. Crappy tripod and too much wind. I'd been set up and enjoying nature and taking photos when some other people showed up. It was a group, with one specifically taking the conversation lead. The group was within earshot, and I could hear one of the guys, who I guess I'll call Biggest Dickus, or BD for short, trying to explain to the others, who I gathered were his friends, that he wasn't crazy. He was describing what he had seen the night prior, a light that had originated from down the gorge to the left, from the direction of Brown Mountain, and had moved down the gorge. His friends were giving him shit, but he was visibly disturbed. They had moved down the viewing platform to an area near me, and BD eventually brought me into their conversation. Like something out of the beginning of a shitty RPG questline.
That's funny.
He asked if I believed him and brought me into their scope of conversation.
Hey, guy you've never met before. Do you believe this story you're just hearing now for the first time? That's such an awkward thing to be asked. I'd be like, no, like not at all.
BD was quite obviously disturbed. He had seen something he didn't understand and was desperate to get someone to believe him. His friends were all giving him shit, but I said I believed him. From the story, he said the light came from the left down the gorge. It was green and moved slowly. For reference, from the platform down to the river in the gorge is about 2,000 feet. BD said the light was roughly 1,500 feet up because it appears to be higher than halfway, but lower than his vantage point. After it had passed the viewing platform, the light split into 3 lights. Up to this point, he wasn't too worried. He figured it was a drone. But when the lights split and lights began moving independent of each other, he started to freak out. Shit, I would freak out too if I saw lights, like it was one light, then it split, and now it's like all over the place lights.
There could be some technological supervillain there that likes to fuck around with drones. Because I don't know if anyone's seen, like, I think it was the Christmas drone show that Google put on randomly outside their headquarters.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so many drones moving independently of one another, but they're still moving like in one coordinated purpose. If this was the case of 3 drones moving to freak you the fuck out.
It's like that in the movie Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, kind of.
Where they have all those drones. Like, never mind. If you haven't seen that movie, then
yeah, kind of, except there's 3 as opposed to like a million that are generating a bunch of like ridiculously huge illusions.
He took out his phone and started getting photos and videos. He said that after the lights had separated, they moved more down the gorge, then up, and either dissipated or faded from view. No drone can split itself into 3 that I'm aware of. I saw the photos, and now in hindsight, I wish I had gotten the contact information of the man to receive the photos and videos. I didn't see them myself that night, nor did BD or his friends, but BD swears he saw them the night before, and the photos 100% showed a green light, and the videos showed it following a non-linear trajectory, making almost jagged, instantaneous movements. BD was affected by this. He saw something that shook his beliefs, and he was desperately searching for someone to believe him. While his friends were all giving him shit, I do believe that they believed him. He informed me that he had lived in the area for 20 plus years and had heard of stories but never seen anything for himself until the previous night. I haven't seen the lights for myself, but the look on this man's face and the tone of his voice wasn't faked. This wasn't bullshit. If you've seen someone traumatized and heard the resolve in their voice and have seen the look in their pleading eyes, then you know they aren't making shit up. I might have not been inclined to believe him had he not shown me his footage despite his outward demeanor. But damn it, I believed the man. I also had my own beliefs about the Brown Mountain Lights, mostly that they had been distractions by local moonshine runners. That's funny. But I don't think I believe those now.
They could be both. That's the thing. This phenomenon could occur that's unexplained, and it could also be exploited by someone who's doing something illegal to drive people away. Like we covered that topic for Jersey, where one of the shores of Jersey had a rumor,
Jersey Shores
had a rumor about a black dog that would show up, but there's also supposed to be a smuggling ring for pirates back in the day, and that's why they made up the rumor, was to keep people away. That doesn't mean that a black dog didn't exist there. You know, some big animal could have existed there, and they could have also shown up. It could be both at the same time.
I've been camping in the area since then and haven't had an experience of my own, but I'll certainly keep going back. Love the show, guys. I've got a few more stories, though I am a skeptic and not sure how much I believe what I've experienced, or how much of it can be rationalized away. Maybe if I get drunk enough again, I'll type them out. Thanks for all that y'all do. Keep it up. Thank you so much for sending in your story. Man, the fact that this guy was so shook by what he saw makes you really want to believe it. But there's so much technology now.
I think that's why a lot of people wind up believing stories like this, is because you see someone and you realize they're not lying. And it's hard to take someone's experience and tell them, like, I don't think you're lying, I think you're mistaken. You know, because when someone gets, sincerely shook by something and sincerely afraid, it's really hard to take in what's happening around you with very specific detail to then later break it down. Because as soon as you see something and you realize, like, your fear is taking over, your rational mind kind of goes out the window, you know?
Yeah.
And for anyone who's ever been, like, afraid of something in the moment where your, like, knees just shake, or you just get really scared, or maybe you lash out at someone who's, like, just popping out around, like, the corner, like, blah! It's like, did you really think you were getting murdered? No, but in that quick moment, you were so afraid it didn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
And if the moment's extended, it's really hard to understand how quickly your mind can start jumping to conclusions, or even like in the case of the Battle of Los Angeles, which I covered a few episodes ago, seeing things that just weren't there. It's like you saw something that was there, but your brain told you it was something else. But it's really hard because sometimes people actually do see shit. So.
There is footage, though. So this guy had actual footage of these lights.
But we don't have it. That's the thing. So it's hard for us to speculate. But yeah, that's a really good story. Thank you for sending it in. And if you have the other ones and you need to get drunk to send it, then just, you know what? Just get drunk and send it. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
So, thank you so much.
But drink responsibly.
Yeah, drink responsibly. Get drunk and send it. Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in their stories tonight. Thank you so much to everyone who's listening to this. Thank you so much to everyone who watches us live. You folks make it worth it for us to do these, and it's so much fun reading your stories and being trusted to do that, because sometimes they are very personal, like we had a couple tonight, and it means the world to us. So if you have a story like that and you would like to send it to us, please email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. If you fill out that form, it comes directly to us. You can also hit us up on any of our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod. And Instagram is @scarishpodcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us monetarily, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast, and those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1, and at $1 you can get ad-free episodes, which even on YouTube, even on YouTube, you have to do ads too, right?
You get ads on YouTube, that's correct.
Yeah, so head on over to Patreon, join for $1, you get ad-free episodes. Also,
$1 a month. It's 4 quarters, y'all.
Also, now that it is December, I am mailing out winter rewards for Badge of Honor tier and above, and that is going to be a Wendigo keychain. Or not Wendigo, that was last fall, or that was this past fall. It's going to be Krampus. So Krampus keychains are going out.
You should post a video of what the Krampus keychains look like to tell people, like, hey, sign up for this Patreon tier and you're going to get one of these in the mail. Totally effing worth it.
All right. And then if you want to do one-time donations, those are at ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. All your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup, kind of keep us motivated, keep us going, keep us creating more merch and more content.
Indeed. So thank you one more time to everyone who watched, listened, sent in their stories, all that stuff. You guys support us and it's amazing and we appreciate it. So that's everything we have for Storytime 147, I think it is. So, Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.